You know, one of the most powerful suggestions that a person can ever give themselves in the privacy of their own minds is the EFT self-acceptance statement. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And on this video, I want to share why you shouldn't use it with clients. Now, there's a time and there's a place for everything, and love is a highly charged word. It can mean different things to different people. You know, Disney's version of love is that, warm and fuzzy Stuart Little kind of love, but it isn't necessarily the subconscious mind's version. So using the word love prematurely can actually trigger internal conflict for a person. It's like the God word. It can bring up resistance. If you don't check it out first, you can end up creating obstacles because you're asking the client to lie. It's the truth that will set them free. Now, at the deepest level, we know what is loving. But what passed for love in childhood can conflict with that, and the subconscious mind learns a different interpretation. That subconscious truth may be shit and abuse. Now, when love gets associated with pain, love becomes threat subconsciously, and that's something to be avoided. So don't assume that love is a good thing for your client, because if you do, you could just make things worse. I never use the word love until after I have tested it. And the way to test that word is to get the client into a scene with their younger self and then find out how the client feels toward the child. Now, I want to know if there's any love for the child. Sometimes the adult rejects the child, and to do the inner child work, I need a grown-up that's going to be present and loving toward the child. So I do not proceed with a regression until I have that. So I'll ask, is the child lovable? That's the greatest test. If the child isn't perceived to be lovable, there's a block. And that block, that's self-rejection. Remember, that child is a younger aspect of your client. That is who they are. And that's something that needs to be addressed and released. You need to focus on that first. So if the client can't say those words and mean it, that's a problem. Now, most of the time, the child is perceived as lovable. And if that's the case, now it's okay to go ahead and use the word love. Now, love is congruent. It's an authentic feeling. It's the truth. And that's when I want to use the self-acceptance phrase. When the client says, yes, that child is lovable, then I want to have the client say to their younger self, to the child, I deeply and completely love and accept you. Then have them notice how it feels to say those words, because it should feel good. Now, if it doesn't feel good, you need to address that. But these are the words that the child most needs to hear. I deeply and completely, unconditionally, totally, wholly, unabashedly love and accept you just as you are. These are the words that it needs to hear, the words that need to be accepted at the core of their being, because it will ripple outward into their everyday life. And it's love that heals, but it needs to be authentic. It needs to come from the heart, not from the head. I'm not saying I love you because I should. The things we say to ourselves, about ourselves, with feeling, that's what influences how we think and how we feel and how we behave. So this is a process of auto-suggestion. We're practicing self-talk that is positive, but we need to check it out first and make sure that it is authentic and congruent for the person to say those things. Remember, the child is a part of the client. It's just a younger version of them. So whatever they say to the child, they are saying to themselves. The child is a part of the client. And if you change one part of them, it changes the whole, because all parts are connected. They all work together. Now, not all parts are necessarily involved in a single issue, but all parts are listening in, and they will benefit from any changes that are occurring to any part, because there's a ripple effect. So that's a suggestion you want to get in, and you want to compound the daylights out of it. So that's how to use love in a healing way. First, find it. Make sure that there's some love in there to begin with. If there isn't, then it's not acceptable. And if it's not acceptable, you need to deal with that first. Address that problem, and all the other problems are going to be much easier to resolve. You need to get the love in there first. Second, feel it. Reinforce that experience powerfully. Use repetition and use auto-suggestion. It's much more powerful when the client says it to themselves than someone else says it to them. Because it's easy to say, oh, you look beautiful today, oh, thanks, you know, and not take that in. But for them to say it to themselves and feel it, that's a powerful suggestion. You know, Abraham Hicks says that belief is a well-practiced thought. I love that. A belief is a well-practiced thought. Get the client to practice that thought until it becomes a belief. Finally, you want to seal it. You want to make it adamant. So generalize that response. Ripple it throughout the whole mind-body system. Ripple it forwards and backwards along their timeline. Give it to them as homework. You can give it to them as a tapping homework, or just looking in the mirror and looking into their eyes and saying those words, I deeply and completely love and accept you. Or imagining their inner child and saying those words, you know, saying good night to your inner child before you go to bed. I deeply and completely love and accept you. Good night, little one. These are the things that create miracles in the minds of our clients, so use them. Okay, that's it for this time. I hope you found something that's going to benefit you in your work with your clients and with yourself as well. Remember to say those words to yourself too. And until next time, leave your comments on the forum. I want to hear from you. And this is Wendie signing off. Until next time, I'll see you again real soon.